Hey y'all, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bailey.
Welcome to Livin on a Prayer.
We're two best friends who are here to keep it real and relatable.
Through life's hills and valleys, we're here to remind you we're all just living on a prayer.
Looking for chic, versatile pieces that fit seamlessly into every moment of your life? Let us introduce you to one of our favorite stores, Mackenzie & Me. They've got you covered from the carpool line
to wedding celebrations. Mackenzie & Me is an in-store and online boutique owned by two sisters based here in Covington, Louisiana. With most items priced under $100, Mackenzie & Me offers affordable fashion without sacrificing quality.
As one of our go-to boutiques, the girls there are always ready to help us find the perfect outfit plus more.
Pop by Mackenzie & Me or shop online at mackenzieandme.com because great style shouldn't just be for special occasions, it's for every day too. All right, welcome back, girls and boys.
Welcome back to another episode of Livin on a Prayer.
Who's living on a prayer today? Raise your hand.
I'm not really. I mean, I always am, but I feel pretty good today. Okay. This week was a little cuckoo.
Yeah.
We literally just had a hurricane yesterday.
We did.
Just yesterday, so that was crazy. I pulled my back out at the beginning of this week, so I've been just kind of laying on my bed all week.
You're getting tested, and you have a lot of things coming up.
Lots of things, and this is my first outing of the week, so thanks for having me.
Outing of the
Outing of the week. This is my first time out on the town.
I love that for you.
Me too. I got my little lumbar pillow.
Okay.
Giving me some good support, and I'm ready to chat.
I'm so glad I could be your social outing of the week.
Me too. I was thinking, honestly, that I really, needed this because I've been so just, kind of blah. And, I almost, I wanted to come, but I was like, I don't really, have pep in my step today to, do a good talk.
You better get that pep.
Well, I already feel it. I already feel the pep.
Okay, good.
Just seeing you, just being here. Me and Kristen haven't seen each other in, 2 years. It feels like.
Really? How long has it been? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it just feels long.
That's so sad.
I know.
Did you miss me?
I did. Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, girl.
It was her birthday, a few days ago. And
30
that
fun.
feels like a year ago. Your
30
birthday.
fun, here we come.
She's 30 fine years old.
I'm ready for it.
And she's ready.
Okay, well, as I'm turning 31, this is what I want to know.
All right.
Things you wish you knew in your 20s. You have to tell me 3 things off the top of your head.
Gosh.
Off the top of your head. You cannot.
Only 3?
Yeah, only 3. The top 3 things you wish you knew in your 20s that you had no idea. And you can't go back, but if you could go back, what are 3 things you wish you knew at that time?
Okay. This is a lot of pressure because you know how many things you wish you could just tell your little 20-year-old self, your younger self.
Mm-hmm.
I think number 1 would be, wait, what is it? We're supposed to tell ourselves? 3 things I would tell little Bailey, or 3 things I wish I knew.
3 things you wish you knew when you were 20.
I wish I knew.
In your 20s.
Okay, got it.
That's a big,
it's a decade.
20s is a big, there's a lot going on.
A lot happened in my 20s, yeah.
Right.
Okay, number 1, I wish I knew how important faith and giving my life to Christ is, how important that is, how much that's just changed me in the past few years. Because in my early 20s, that's when I kind of talked about college and the beginning of my marriage. I was oh yeah, I do this, I love God, but I was not invested in the relationship. And I wish I would have known how positively that has impacted my life.
Okay,
that's a big one.
Okay.
Another thing I wish I would have known: no one else's opinions matter about you. I wish I would have known that truly it only opinion that matters is God's, and all the talk and the stuff doesn't matter, and that's not gonna mold you, it's not gonna change you, none of that literally has anything to do with your success.
Yeah. Okay. What's the third one? You're doing good. Those are good ones.
I know, I'm kind of making me a little nauseous. I don't know, I have so many. The third thing I wish I knew was, gosh, I could go a few directions here. I gotta just pick. I guess it would probably be that I wish I knew that being a mom, everything is gonna work itself out, and not to stress over the small stuff, and that with each kid it's gotten so much easier and so much more enjoyable because I can
oh yeah,
relax.
because you became a mom in your 20s.
Yeah. I did.
Okay,
I was
okay.
26 when I had Ezra.
Because I'm like, why are you talking about being a
Yeah,
mom?
but then
I'm
like my
not.
first baby, I was 26, and my third, I was 30.
Okay.
So like they're in two different little
Oh,
decades there,
yeah.
but I was a completely different person for both. And I wish I would have known, like, you don't have to sweat the small stuff. You don't have to freak out over like all the rules and the whats and the buts and the ifs and all the things. And like it kind of like steals the joy of motherhood in the beginning. So I wish I
Okay.
would have known to just like take a chill pill, girl.
Wow. Those are all really good ones.
Thank you. I have a lot more if you need me to tell you everything I wish I would have known.
I don't
But
know.
we're going to let you tell your 3.
Ooh. Okay. I knew I wanted to ask you that, and I didn't even think
I was
in my
thinking,
head.
like, the fact that you asked me, you've probably been thinking about this for, like, days.
I have been thinking about this, and I'll tell y'all why. Because I've had a couple 20-year-olds that I used to
love
teach
this.
dance to that I'm close to, and they asked me, what are some things that you wish you knew in your 20s? Because they're freshly 21.
So they're like, give me your advice.
Freshly 21, going on 22, like in their senior
Gosh.
year of college. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
I can, like, barely remember being 21.
Oh, I remember it.
Like, I was
Very
just a
clear.
fresh little girly. Like, just started my job, just got engaged. Like I have so many more things I wish I knew. I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
Obviously, we have plenty of time to talk about it. So.
Yeah. I think the first thing that I would say, and this is just kind of like a general, like, I guess, piece of advice that I wish I knew is really for my perfectionist self is I would just put out there, it's not that serious.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. Like
is
nothing,
that serious.
nothing you're going through in those years
Yeah.
is like that detrimental. I mean, you think like the friendships, the sorority, the breakup, the grade,
All of it.
the
The hangover.
right. It's not that serious.
Do you remember how like a hangover could be just like, I have to go to work and I have this.
Yeah.
Like it was just like drama.
Right.
It's all a little drama.
Yeah. Just not that serious,
It's
right?
not
and
that serious.
We make like this mountain
Yeah.
out of a molehill.
It's almost like when you're a kid and like a little kid and they're like, oh, I can't wait to grow up like this. And like, you're like, I wish you knew how like easy you have it now. That's
Right.
how we kind of even feel about our
Yeah.
20s now.
yeah.
Like, girl, you don't even know what's coming.
Yeah. And it's just, I think back to small things that we made huge things.
Yes.
And I wish, I don't remember when I started giving myself this rule. I think it might have been in my mid 20s, but like in my early 20s, I wish I knew that because I would start asking myself, is this going to matter in 5 minutes? Is it going to matter
that's
in
good.
5 months? Or is it going to matter in 5
5
years?
years.
Right? And that kind of helps you see the perspective of
the situation. Like, hold up. Is this really? Because there's a lot of things even today we like fret over and we're like, okay, wait.
yeah.
Like, is that really going to affect you? No.
Right.
Like, have your moment for the day, but like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's number 2, girl?
My second one would probably be. Ooh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, but what?
This is fun.
Probably when people show you who they really are, believe them.
And like, get out.
Believe them.
Or shoe fly, don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was talking about with like the people's opinions don't matter. Like I didn't really know how to word it, but that's kind of what I was like.
Yeah.
Like when people show you their true colors, like don't tell yourself like, oh, I have to stay because of this, or like, oh, we've been friends this long, or oh, da da da. Like in your 20s, I feel like you're so much more like emotional and connected to these like friendships and relationships. Everything feels so like intense.
Whether they're new or old. Because I
Right.
think, when we go to college, we have had these friends since childhood, since
Yeah.
high school. And then we make new friends in college, and
It gets like kind of weird.
yeah, but it's just things change because groups change and
Right.
shift. Your things you have in common shift and change.
Yes.
right. Like there is a lot of different
And it's
avenues
okay
that goes.
to let people go. It's okay to
Yeah.
understand that like relationships are seasonal.
Yeah.
I feel like we just are like getting that in
Right.
life.
Well, and I recently listened to a podcast last week, and it was a singer, and she was talking about how she writes her songs, but she was talking about this really in relationships and how, you know, when we're in college, like we give the same boyfriend 3, 4, 5 different chances. And we always are thinking the third time's the charm. Like,
right.
They're
Like,
gonna
what's wrong with
They're
us?
going to change.
And
it's
that's
gonna
like
be
the
different.
worst they're ever going to be.
Yeah.
Like men, sorry men out there. But like they do be immature, okay? And like most men are not trying to like get married at 20.
Right.
They're trying to just like play the
Live their
field,
life.
have fun. So like, but we are already as women thinking, I'm in college, like I'm gonna find my husband.
This is gonna be my person.
It. So we're trying to like convince ourselves and like force ourselves into these relationships that are not good. And like, I mean, I had one in college that was like, what? Like I look back and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Like,
well, and I had a couple. I didn't have just
like
one. I had a couple, and I will say, I let myself convince myself that like, no, it's gonna be okay. He's gonna change. He said he was sorry. It's gonna be different, right? But it's just at the end of the day, I knew I didn't deserve that. I knew I needed to be respected more, and I should have just been so content and known that.
For sure, yeah. But like, we're just so baby girlies then. Like we're not. Like now we're like growing into these like good, strong, confident women. I feel like
I would say stronger.
yeah, we're like
stronger,
we still
more
cry
confident.
like at least once a week. But like then you're so like young, still trying to figure yourself out. Like give yourself grace for these like navigating these relationships because it can be weird. Like friends too. Like you said, you get new friends. Then that gets like weird with your old friends because they're like, well, who's this new friend? And then, but you and your new friends kind of relate more because y'all are at a different season. And like you and your old friend might have just had like Hannah Montana in common. And now all of a sudden you're like, hold up, we're grown, we're in college. Like what do we have in common? It's weird like to navigate. But I feel like when you're young too, you almost like we're people pleasers. We always say it, but like you're really trying to like keep everyone still happy in your life. And it's like, it's all right if relationships are seasonal.
And I think when they show, like I'm saying, when somebody shows you who they are, and even I think it goes vice versa. Because I think when I'm saying this too, like I didn't treat people the best always, right? No. And I didn't make decisions, you know, for other people. I don't know. I'm like trying to think through how to say this, but
you weren't like someone could have easily cut us out of their life too because of us showing a character trait or something. Like you're saying, like it goes both ways.
It goes both ways. And I know, you know, I would pour more into one relationship than another. And honestly, if that person chooses not to be my friend anymore because I'm not giving them what I'm giving somebody else, I understand, and that's okay, right? Like I'm showing them where they stand in my life,
right? That makes sense,
right? And so I think it goes both ways, and it doesn't always have to be a negative thing. Like when someone shows you who they are, believe it, because they're showing you like they're literally doing these actions or saying these words, like that's who they are, right?
But also, I will say, like in your 20s, you're like trying to mold to these different groups and you're trying to figure out who you are too. And I know people are like, oh, people don't change. I don't believe that because I feel like as you get older, like I was talking to someone the other day that she's on like a sorry tour, she's calling it. And she's like, I'm older now. I'm seeing things I've done that I don't like anymore that I did. And I'm going through and apologizing to all these people. And some are like, thanks for the apology. And then some are like, oh my gosh, wow, me too. I'm sorry. Like having these like good conversations.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's kind of cute.
I know. She's like, I'm on my sorry tour right now. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. And then we just were talking about it. And I was like, you know, it really does show people can change. It's just like when you allow the change and you're open to be like, I messed up. Like I should have never said that. I really hurt that person. I was talking smack about her behind her back.
Well, I really believe that as you grow in your faith, and I feel like I'm going through this right now, so I might be on my sorry tour pretty soon, but
I went on a little sorry tour.
I feel like as you grow in your faith and as you get connected with that higher power, right, you go up higher. So you kind of can see everything
I love
with
that.
a bird's eye view, right?
That's
so
a cool
you
way.
are when you're up there a little bit higher, knowing the right from wrong, the moral versus immoral.
It's clear.
It's clearer, right? So you can see over like I don't like that. I do like that. I'm choosing to put myself here.
Is this for me? Is this not for
Right.
me?
And I
like
think
it's very clear.
right. And as you grow, like anybody can make that decision at any point in time.
Right.
To change.
But it's not, it's almost like you're not changing, like you're being the person who God wants you to be. So
Yeah.
it's like you're letting go of stuff. It's not necessarily that you're like changing. It's just
Right.
the other stuff you were doing wasn't right in
Right.
the first place. And you're realizing that. So that was something I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool to see like someone else like owning that and just being like,
But if you never went through those hard
Yeah.
things, or if you never treated people poorly or done those actions to hurt them,
Yep.
would you ever be to this point where you realize, wow, I really didn't like that about myself.
no, right.
I want to
agree.
be better.
So I feel like that's why, like, obviously we are young and we grow and we go through all this stuff because growing into who we are, it's like part of it, part of your story, part of like how we're able to even get on here and share stuff. But it is like my first point of I wish I would have known how important it was to like give my life to the Lord and like live for him. Because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten so many sticky situations.
You would have made decisions differently.
At that point, I would have been, but again, that all brought me to where I am today. So like, no regrets, but but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in my 20s.
You can't go on your sorry tour to yourself.
I went through some like pretty tough, that's
Yeah.
cute. We do need to go on a self-sorry tour because you got to forgive yourself and like understand that some of that stuff, y'all know that wasn't like, I'm like, that wasn't me.
Yeah. But,
I'm sorry, Bailey.
Yeah.
I forgive you, girl. Phew, I'm glad we got that off our chest.
Oh my.
Oh, shucks. But really, that's like going through. I'm like, I can like see a timeline of my 20s in my head. It's the weirdest thing. I guess I've never really just thought about my 20s, and I can like see each year, like through the years up until now. And it's like, wow, what a journey we've been on, girl.
But okay, how crazy though, when you just said about being a mom and having kids, like that will never be my 20s. That was not my 20s.
No, it's not. It's your 30s.
When you said that, I really was like, huh?
You're like, wait, you have the wrong decade.
Why are you talking about being a mom in your 20s? And then I realized
I was 26.
you were.
Yeah.
You were a mom in your 20s.
I was 25 when I got pregnant with Ezra, and by the time I had him, I was 26.
So I think it's really cool and kind of crazy how your advice for a 20s is so different than my advice for a 20s.
Like I was engaged at 21. So like look, girls, I could talk to y'all. Y'all need advice? I can walk y'all through some stuff. I went through some major things in my 20s. Man, never really thought of that.
Yeah, you did.
It's probably why I like my 30s. Things
Much
are kind of
better.
calming down a little. Chilling out over here. Not really.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to say your third.
Okay.
Do you have a third?
Oh, I had an idea of what I thought I wanted it to be, or what I would have.
Okay, so your first was what was your first thing?
Yes, I got one.
Oh, okay. I was gonna like
It's okay to change your mind.
That is good.
It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to tell people no.
No.
It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay.
It's okay to say no. Mm-hmm. But it's okay to say no.
Yeah, I think it's okay to change your mind. Like if
yours are better than mine. I want to
no,
redo.
I think mine are just a little more.
I need a redo. You've been thinking about yours.
I have, but okay. The first one I really have been sitting on, but
I have these two mine. I have 6, and these 3 are my other.
Okay,
3.
great. Yeah, mine are a
so
little
good.
broader, but if you want to change your mind, and if you were
I love that one.
a business major and you want to go to beauty school,
It's all right.
It's okay to change your mind. You're
Even
not stuck
like
on
if
it.
you don't want to go to dinner, like you commit to a dinner and then by Friday you're too tired. The stress I used to feel of
I
being
still feel
like,
that I'm so bad at
I
it.
have to go to this. I
And I'm
still
trying
do,
to
but
learn.
I am better only, but my kids helped me get better because I used to like be like, I have to be home with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And like it helped, that has helped me, but I still the guilt. But like back in the day, like in my 20s, I would go to something like sick as a dog because I didn't want to let someone down.
Yeah,
And then I was just letting my own self down. Like I
Right.
needed to be home resting or I just didn't feel like it.
yeah.
You just sometimes don't feel like it.
And it's okay to choose yourself
It's okay to say no. It's okay to choose yourself.
and change your mind. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Those are good.
I know it is a good one.
That one is
It's
good.
okay to break up with your boyfriend and decide that
And to have
he's
no
not
reason.
the one for you.
Yeah, just dump them.
This is kind of crazy.
Just dump them.
I also listened to another podcast the other day. I'm really on the podcast train.
You
after
are. I only
starting
listen to
one.
like one podcast.
And it's your own. Not me. I listen to a variety, but
it's hard for me to even listen to this one.
I was listening to one. It was a Catholic channel, and it was a priest that he got on, and he was talking about how he asked a woman who's in her, I think she's in her younger to mid 20s.
All right.
And I think she went to him talking about her boyfriend, and maybe they were engaged, and I think it was like they were engaged, and it was the pre-Cana like question,
Okay.
He had to do one, she had to do one, they had to
Right.
do one together. And this priest asked her something about like, what are you most excited for? What are you ready for in marriage? Is he the same, and she said something about like, if he wasn't her boyfriend now, she wouldn't pick him.
Oh,
She
no.
wouldn't marry him, like something like that.
Oh,
like
no.
she wouldn't have picked
Yeah.
him in pursuit of marrying him. And the priest kind of went back at her and was like, "Well, you're going to marry this man?" She's like, "Well, we've been together for a while, and I do love him and I do care for him." And he's like, "But if you would not pick this man right now,
Right.
why are you
Picking him.
picking him to
Yeah.
marry him? If you wouldn't pick him as a boyfriend, why are you picking him as a husband?" And that kind of was like a little like jarring to me, but that's kind of where I'm saying,
yeah,
it's okay to change your mind.
especially in your 20s. Like you see the like high school sweethearts that go into college and they're like scared to break up because they do love each other, but like they want to experience like the new things, and they just stay together sometimes just because that's like the norm and it's safe, and it's like sometimes they get married and then they're not happy. So it's okay to like break up.
I just think we think when we're 20 that we are like so old, you go off and you're an adult and you can make these decisions, you can do all these things, and your life is really, really
yours.
It's starting, right? Like
Yeah.
you get a job, and it's okay to change your career path, but you don't think that in that moment. You think like, okay, this is what I've chosen, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is who I'm gonna be.
And this is what I'm gonna like. I'm gonna marry by this age. I'm gonna have kids by this age. Like you start planning your life, which is like
life is so
LOL.
much longer and bigger
than your 20s.
than your 20s.
And why do our 20s feel so? I think it's because we're like free from living at home. We are making like decisions for the first time, like fully on our own.
Yeah.
We're just like you said, you just got your first job, or you just graduated college, you just like got engaged or found your boyfriend or whatever.
You're starting to choose things for yourself without having a parent guide you.
Right. You're making these big decisions and you're like in charge, and you feel like really like, well, this is the plan, but it's not your plan.
It's okay to change your mind.
We've talked about that too. Like God's plan is always greater. So I remember I thought I was going to have like be married and have my first kid. Like I always said, at 23, I want to have my first baby, which now that looks so young.
I honestly,
oh my gosh.
if I probably went back to like my second grade journal, it probably said that when I was 23, I was going to get married. Because you think you finish college at 22, you're going to marry that person at 23.
I really like thought, like I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
And it was like such a thing in my head. Like you have to have your first baby by 23. And I'm like, what was I thinking? But I guess 23 sounded so old when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the same little boyfriend through high school. And I thought that's who I was going to marry. And that's like, I was like, so we're going to have our first baby. And then my world was a little shaken up when we broke up. And I was like, how am I supposed to have a baby by 23? Like, I remember thinking these things like, hold on, I was supposed to be married. I was supposed to have a baby. This is not the plan that I had.
Yeah.
But looking back, like obviously it all like worked out.
Not
It was
for your
not
plan.
for me. But it's just crazy to think how we get so like, especially when we're so young, we just get so like caught up in these things. And not to say a breakup's not huge, like that. A breakup, especially when you're young, like it rocks your world.
It hurts.
And it hurts like nothing
So
else
bad.
hurts like that first like breakup, like your heart getting broken for the first time. But there's so much more to come.
Yeah.
And like I promise you, like you will look back and you will just be like, oh, silly little me. I was so sad. But like it's okay. Like my life is so beautiful now.
Yeah.
And the things that God has blessed me with since I got dumped, if you will, was like,
Not dumped.
I was dumped. I never broke up with someone. I always got broken up with. Like I was always the dumped.
I kind of was, but I will say I did some breaking up and some separations,
Yeah.
but not because I really wanted to,
Right.
because I knew I deserved better.
That's good though.
Yeah, but I always still like longed for that person to choose me.
Right. Like you knew that was the decision, but you were like hoping.
I knew it was best,
Right.
because
I get it.
I knew I
You
deserved
separated
more.
yourself from like the situation.
I did.
Yeah.
I separated myself from the situation and from how I was being treated. But at the end of the day, like I still like,
Yeah.
because I knew who that person was. Like I
And
loved
could
them.
be, yeah.
I
know.
I see their potential,
I
right?
know.
But
Aw,
I really,
sugars. All
yeah.
those little
But I
sugars.
really, really wanted to be chosen. I think
Yes.
deep down as human beings.
But that's
okay. Well, this kind of leads me in to, not just. It doesn't have to just be like in relationships.
Yeah.
It can be in friendships. And recently,
friendships.
yeah, but and even people that aren't your friends. Recently, like all these sweet college girls just had Rush.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
back,
tough.
I saw some TikToks about this girl who got, before anything even started. Now they're at LSU, at least they're doing it different, where like nobody goes to ice water. There's no ice water anymore.
There's
There's
not?
too many sororities. No. So it's all like,
See, I have no idea what
it's all like
today's-
digital, right? And
Digital?
Digital.
Digital Rush?
Yeah, basically the first part.
So what do? You're like FaceTiming?
No, it's all like you watch a video on the chapter.
Oh, so you
And
go
they-
like watch a video.
Right,
each-
and they have already gone through every PNM.
okay.
Potential new member.
I
If
gotta
you are not a
say,
Rush person, potential new member are the little girlies who are about to go through Rush.
I gotta just say something.
Say it, sister.
I like absolutely have zero regrets on like being in a sorority, all that, because my best friends are still those girls. Okay. But I just gotta say that Rush stuff is ugly.
It is.
It is so ugly. Like the way that they just like look at pictures of people and like pick them apart. And what did they do in high school? Was she a slut? Was she a this? Like they like, and they might not even know anything. It may be one girl that doesn't like you and like can like turn the whole thing around.
Yeah.
And it's just like really, I don't like it.
It's catty.
I hated that experience so much. Like I will never forget. My sister wanted me to Rush so bad. And I was like, I'll do it for you. I only want to be in your sorority. I don't like.
So you kind of had your blinders on.
Oh, I did. I
Yeah.
was like, I want to be with my sister. I was like, in high school, I was bullied horribly. I was bullied like to the point where there were days I was just like, I can't get out of my bed. I can't go to school. I can't see these girls. Horrible experience. So a lot of them were the girls that would be rushing me.
So they were older than you.
Yeah, they were like all a year older than me, and they all, were in sororities at
So
LSU.
you knew it was going to be hard.
I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I was going to have to face people that didn't like me or that were like saying stuff about me behind my back, like when they were in school with me still. And I was just like, I do not want to go through this. Like I was literally putting myself on a platter of like, all right, what's it called when they not
When they knock you down?
No, this like,
What?
okay, grill me. Like it was
Oh.
just like I knew that I was like putting myself like in a very uncomfortable situation. But my sister's like, you're gonna love it. Oh my God. It's easy all the way. Hey. I'm like, all right, I'm doing it, whatever. So I did Rush. And like, I mean, at a couple of the houses I saw people that, and I think they like are supposed to not like, I may be making this up because I never was on the other side because I ended up going to beauty school.
Okay.
But like, are y'all not supposed to like rush people that you know? Like, are you supposed to talk to different people?
I think
Like Sage wasn't supposed to rush me.
I think every sorority is different.
Okay. Because
But if there's somebody in the house that's very close to you, they usually let other people rush them to see if they really are a good fit.
Okay, to see it
For the house.
Got it.
Yeah.
So at like the houses where I knew that these girls were, like one of them, I like would see the girls that like didn't like me, and I was like, but at each house I would say like, my sister's a DZ, and they're like, and that's like what you're not supposed to do. She's like, do not name drop. I want you to decide for yourself. I'm like, no. So, and they're like, oh,
You knew what
okay.
you wanted to do.
Who's your sister? What grade is she in? I'm like, sophomore. And they're like, so you're probably going to do that one. I'm like, yeah. And honestly, I think I did that too because I didn't want the disappointment of no one picking me. And I knew if I said that, they wouldn't pick me and then I could blame it on, well, I told them my sister was a DZ.
Right.
Because I was so insecure and felt so like all these girls are going to like hate me. And I got dirty rushed at one of the houses by one of the girls who like bullied me in high school. And she asked me like horrible questions. Like I'm not even going to say them on here, but stuff that you are not supposed to ask. Like
I think you should say it.
embarrass
Come
me.
on. Give me one of them. Give me an example.
Okay. I'm like, this is like bringing me back. Like I can literally still
Sorry,
remember.
do you not want to talk
No,
about it?
I don't
Is it
care.
triggering?
No, it's not triggering. I'm so happy this is like, has nothing to do with who I am today. And
Okay.
that like, but it's so sad in that moment. I really like thought this like made who I was, like this sorority situation.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get in or if someone picks you, if they don't like you, like that's defines you. That's how
Yeah.
I felt. But she like asked me if I was pregnant and said like,
What?
she's like, you're not pregnant, right? Like trying to like,
Did she hear a rumor?
no, she was just trying to make me uncomfortable and like make sure that I like, I don't know. She was
That
like
is
trying to,
so weird.
yeah, it was weird. And she asked me a few other things. Like she was just drilling me. Like purposely, they paired her with me. This girl like hated my guts in high school. Paired her with
Did y'all
me.
have the same boyfriend?
No.
Did you become a cheerleader before she did?
No.
Did you get the homecoming queen and she didn't?
No, I did not ever get homecoming queen. I was kind of disappointed I never got that. I'm telling you, I was like hated in high school. I was not going to win the homecoming queen. But
Or on homecoming court, you know what I mean? I'm just
Yeah.
like trying to figure out, like those.
no, there
are
was really
normal-
not like a reason.
her
Like
to
we
not
never
like you?
had a thing. She just hated me, and she was like so mean to me all the time. And like all her friends would like be mean to me too because she was mean to me.
I hate
like,
that. I'm sorry.
Total like Mean Girl movie.
I hate that.
But she was asking me questions that like they teach you like you do not bring this up. You do not, like
Yeah.
it's supposed to be very, where are you from? Like how whatever. And I mean, she knew me. She knew I was probably gonna do Sage's sorority. She knew I had a sister, but she like drilled me with
sorry.
these
That's
questions.
horrible.
And I was like, I remember just standing there, and the second I walked out, I started like sobbing. And my Gamma Chi was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Nothing." And she's like, "What happened? Like, why are you freaking out?" And I told her, and she was like, No, this is not what it's supposed to be. This is not right. And she like handled it for me. But then I felt like such a little loser, like a tattletale. And then I'm like, great, now they're gonna come after me.
Well, then
for
you don't
that.
want to go to any other house.
Right.
And
I
you're
was just like,
well,
I'm
this
done.
was a
Like
not
I literally
enjoyable
was like,
experience.
I'm done. I don't want to do this. Like I hate this. And she's like, do not let this, curb you from wanting to do this. But I literally wanted to just stop. Like I was like, this is not it. Like I'm not doing this. I'm not going to get bullied at all these stupid houses. Like I was so mad. But then I did my sorority, and my girls are still like my solid best friends. So
Yeah,
I'm so
that's your
glad I
crew.
did it. It was such a like great thing because when I went to beauty school the next year, I still lived with them all. And so I still like had the full like LSU experience my 4 years I lived there. And I got to like do as much as I could with these girls, and they're my best friends. I mean, they all stood at my wedding. I'm literally leaving tomorrow to go on a trip with them all. Like they're my best friends. No regrets with like
Yeah.
doing it. But like at the time, that was like so heavy. Like I really hated that.
Well, and you are in such a vulnerable spot. Like,
yes.
first of all, you're already going through a lot of change, going to a new school,
Yeah.
a huge school. You are like at the bottom of the totem pole.
And not to mention, I just got dumped too.
So you just were like
So
being
I
really
was
hard on
already-
yourself.
I was just sad. I felt like I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know like where I belonged. I didn't make Tiger Girls. Like I decided if I didn't make Tiger Girls, I would do the sorority.
Yeah.
So like I didn't make Tiger Girls because I was told I didn't look right. I got broken up with, and then I'm getting like bullied at this freaking rush, and I'm like,
And why do I feel like also while this was going on, like, you still didn't really know that you wanted to go to college? But
I
you
didn't want to be in college. Like, that either.
There it is, folks. She did
I
not want to go to college.
to go to beauty school, but I went to college. And so it was just a lot of just like, like I didn't like it.
You didn't choose any of those things
None of
that
them.
led up to this.
Yeah.
So it was like you felt like this was a choice
Right.
for you.
Right.
But it wasn't a
literally
choice
only
to be
wanted-
bullied.
No. I really, like when I think back to like some of the like things that I went through, like getting, this goes off topic of our 20s because this is before 20s in high school. But like some of the stuff that like I went through, like, getting bullied. And, like, I try to think back because I'm sure I bullied people too. Like, I really, like, try to think back sometimes of, like, who I need to apologize to and, like, whose lives I could have affected because, like, that still affects me. Like, to this day, I will see them in public and I'm like,
You don't
like,
wanna,
shaking in my britches.
yeah.
And that's, like, I'm 32 years old, like, about to be 33. Like, I should be able to be like, oh, that was 15 plus years ago.
Their opinion of you doesn't matter.
It doesn't. But man, like, as a young girl.
Okay, you think that, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's why,
It's
okay, so
true.
I saw that, I saw this little girl's TikTok and I think she must have been from out of state. Like she was coming to LSU and was from out of state. So anyway, they cut her like the whole first round. And so she only had 3 houses. I don't even know how many houses there are now. I think there's like 12, 15, something like that.
That's nuts.
I think there's like 12 or 15. So, she only had 3 houses left out of all of those. And somebody told her like the first cut is for GPA. And she's like, I literally have a 3.8. And I know that there are people like that have lower GPAs than me so like that's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm sure that happened to me too. Cause I had a good GPA and
Right.
I probably got cut from a bunch and they're like, probably told me that. And I was like,
yeah,
no,
and when
y'all
you're
hate
like
me.
when you're fresh 18, you're like, ooh, that's what it is,
Yeah,
right? And then people tell you like it's all just a numbers game, which it kind of is towards the end. And knowing that on the other side,
yeah.
it
See,
was.
I never did the other side.
I did for 2 years, and I was only there like I was in and out because I had dance team and I had sorority at the same time. But I just remember like just some of the conversations being so just uncomfortable, and you are literally judging people, and I understand that like
I don't like
if
it.
somebody's not going to fit in that house,
Then that's fine.
then that's fine.
Right.
But there are also other conversations about it that just need to be had in a totally different way. So if you're in your 20s, I think you just need to be kind, because I also remember like just remember who you were, you know,
Yeah.
when you were 18 going through it. And if you were
Now
on
you're
the
doing
up and
it.
up,
Yeah.
you're that person doing it. So
Yeah, you can either be a change or like keep it. Like if you had a bad experience with it, like I feel like some people are like, well, now I'm gonna do it to these new girls.
Yeah.
But you could like switch it and be like, okay, let's give these little sugars grace. Like
yeah.
let's like bring them in here.
I still remember a conversation like you're saying,
Yeah.
a conversation. I knew nothing about Rush. Okay. So you had an older sister that did it. No one in my family.
Yeah,
was-
you just like went in.
Nobody in my family was in a sorority. No, this was like foreign to me. I remember one of my mom's best friends was like, "You're gonna buy your friends?"
Yeah. Oh, people say that.
I said, "What?" And
People
she's like,
say that all the
"Yeah, that's
time.
what you're gonna do. You're gonna buy your friends."
yeah,
I'm like,
you're
"Okay,
buying into a friendship.
okay, cool. If I buy my friends, cool. I
guess
get some.
I am.
I get some good friends, and truly,
My friends were worth every penny.
yeah, I have a lot of friends still. So yeah,
Love y'all.
great. I bought them. And I just remember not knowing what I was getting into. And
Yeah, it's
I had
weird.
another friend's mom tell me, like, she had a daughter in a sorority. So she's like, you need to do this, and
These
this.
outfits.
Yeah.
These,
So she helped me with everything. So anyway, I go in thinking about this one sorority I
That
want to
you
be in,
wanted.
but like, I'll keep my options open because I know this one and this one. I know this one and this
Yeah.
one. And I didn't understand the cutting process and getting dropped from something. And then you have to cut them too. I had
yeah.
no idea what it was about. And I remember when would get cut from one, I'd be like, but I had a really good conversation with this girl in
Yeah.
there. So then
was
you feel
personal.
really defeated,
Yeah.
right?
It's like, well, why'd they cut me?
Yeah.
What
and then
didn't
you
they
want to
like?
know, right? Then you want to know the conversations behind closed doors.
Yeah, and then it starts like
And then you feel really icky.
spiraling in your mind.
Yeah,
Like,
what
were
did
they
I do to
saying?
them?
Like I know
And-
that girl was asking me. She asked me if I was pregnant because she was trying to insinuate that I was a slut. Like her way of being like, "You're sleeping around.
Yeah.
you're not pregnant, right? You can't be pregnant in a sorority." Like that was her like.
That's so ugly.
and I was like,
Well, I remember I got cut. I got
no.
cut from one of the ones I really thought that I was gonna get into.
Yeah.
And that would be like a top contender. Like and Pref Day,
Yes,
these are
these
these
are
are the
mine.
ones I want. And I remember it was the day before Pref Day, it was Skid Day. And I got my houses back and it wasn't on there. And I remember like
Oh.
sinking and just wondering like, what the hell? The most
Man.
people I know are
We're
in this
in that
sorority.
one.
So why did they cut me? So anyway, I keep continuing on with my rush. I get my house. I suicide sided my house and I got it and
So
I was
crazy
happy.
how
Woohoo!
we do
Right?
this.
So then after this though, I like found out the conversations of that one house I wanted to be in behind closed doors. And it was people from this community
Yep.
that we grew up with, right? That were like looking at me under a magnifying
Yep.
glass of like what I was posting on social media, how I was carrying myself, stuff like that. And, you know, the handful of people that were in there were sticking up for me.
Right.
And those are the conversations I did hear. But there were
People that were like, no.
there were a few other
Yeah.
that were being so ugly. And that still
I'm telling you, like, talking about this right now, I feel like I'm back in that moment.
and you saying this, like now I some of them just recently moved back here and I know that like when I see them
you kind of feel like
I'm gonna feel like, ugh, so this is what you think, this is what you really thought about me.
And it's like all these years later, like
That I was that much of a problem to like not be in your sorority, right? And now that I'm like thinking about it, I wound up where I was supposed to be with the people I was supposed to be with.
It hurts.
But why did they have to be so ugly?
It's rejection. Like we've talked about it. Any kind of rejection in life, just to feel rejected is like, why didn't you pick me? Like
when it's just and their opinions
hurt, and that's back to my thing.
Yeah,
other people's opinions of you don't matter. Don't let that mold you. Like in that moment, like for me, I did. Like I let that mold me. I told myself, and this was obviously Satan, but I was like, you are a loser.
Yeah.
Like they don't like you. You're ugly. You're fat. From the lady telling me I was fat for Tiger Girls, like I was just like you aren't deserving of any sorority but DZ because your sister's in there. That's the only reason you got in there. Like I like convinced myself the only reason you're in there is because you have a sister. Like then that became embarrassing.
Just so unfair because you felt like
I felt like that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like embarrassed. I was so embarrassed to talk about that I was in a sorority and say like my sister's in it because then people to me thought that they were like, well, that's why she got in because I felt like everyone felt the way that girl felt about me. That's how I felt like the world was looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was always so embarrassed to be like, yeah, my sister's in it. Cause then I knew they're probably thinking, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because why else would she have gotten that one? Like,
right.
you know, like,
right.
but we, again, like let people's thoughts and opinions of us mold who we think we are, especially being young like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like Kristen always tells me, it's usually them.
Their insecurities.
And something's going on with them and their life. And that's why they're projecting it onto you. And like, honestly, I'm sure like they had stuff at home or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't friends with them. I don't know enough about them to know, but I know I would hope that it's not me.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, I have seen them late as an adult and they're kind as can be to me, like nothing ever happened. And
but again, maybe they changed. Maybe they had their
do you remember when you bullied me?
Maybe
so
they had
bad?
their I'm sorry tour of like, I can't believe I did that to that girl, but she's doing great and I'm in a better place. And so
we're adults.
I'm just not going to talk about it.
Which I'm fine with. Like, I'm
That's
just like,
how I feel.
I know I did
and you know,
things to people in high school.
The choices that other people made and the things that they said about me, like, does not define me.
Nope.
And if that's what they wanted to think about me, then you know what? That is not a place I wanted to be. Right.
And
their decision actually really helped me.
Right.
And put me in the positions and in the friendships and in the communities,
the rooms that
I really needed to be in.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? You know, but that in your 20s, that is so hard to think about.
It sucks, honestly.
It's so hurtful.
It really is. Like, oh my gosh, like even with relationships, like men for us, like when we were, I mean, you said you had a couple of breakups. I got dumped a few times, but I got dumped like more so high school, like college, like no one would ever, first of all, I can confidently say I know why I never got hit on in college. Like if you ever go look at pictures of me in like 2010 to 2013, it was definitely like a weird stage for me. Like
you're being really ugly to yourself.
Hair, my clothes, like we all wore weird clothes. Like it was just a weird time. Okay.
Well, it was like Jersey Shore time.
It
so
was
we
very,
all
very Jersey.
To
like I look at pictures, I'm like, and I wondered why. Like I'd be like, man, no one hit on me tonight. Like I wonder why, girl. Look at you. Like what? I'm sorry. I know you're saying I'm being ugly about myself, but if you saw these pictures,
I see them.
I know. You know. Like I would wear like a see-through top with like a colored bandeau with a big chunky necklace, and
that
my
was
hair
the
was
style.
Like white.
Stop. That was the style.
Okay. Well, anyway, I don't think the men liked that style at the time. But I felt so defeated because I was like so single and like I was so used to being in a relationship that I was like, why is no one like me? Like, why does no one like me?
And that you were letting it define you.
Yes. I was literally like, I'd go out with my friends and I'd be so insecure because they were all so like cutesy and like they all got hit on all the time. And like at this point I started gaining weight. I wasn't dancing. I was like really insecure with my body. And I was just like, man, I am just an ugly loser.
Okay. That
is how
ridiculous.
I felt.
I know.
And like now looking back, I wish I could like shake little Bailey
and tell yourself it's not that serious.
It's not that serious, and none of these people's opinions of you matter. And
this all ties hand in hand.
And give your life to God, and things will clean up. Mm-hmm. You're gonna stop going to Reggie's. You're gonna stop dressing like a little slut, and you're gonna find you a man. Boom, mic drop.
And you're gonna break up with the man before he
breaks up with you, which I never
know
did.
Your value.
I did actually kind of get to break up with one guy in college.
Kind of got to break up with him.
If you want to call it that, but he was like, he didn't like me really anyway. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't know. Oh, I think
he was like, yeah, it wasn't good. But I kind of felt like I like closed the door, but like there was like 6 times before that like he was doing things to me that I should have left on. Yeah. So, but after that, I met Aaron. Like literally like a month after I finally like closed that door on that very toxic relationship, I met Aaron. A month later. And things did, like, I started my job, so I had to, like, kind of grow up a little bit in that sense. Like, I was 19 years old with my first job. All my friends are still in college, but I'm like, I have a real job. Like, I have to work. So, started growing up in that sense, met Aaron, got engaged, like, all these things. Like, I started growing up, like, quickly, if you will, just because, like, big life things happened to me in my 20s, but they all still felt like everything felt like such a big deal still. Yeah. Like the littlest things would like trigger me. Yeah. In my 20s. Like the emotions are so high. We're so just like moldable. Every little thing, like friendships, like we talked about.
When I even think about, and I'm not a parent, so please don't come at me if you're a parent and you think this is horrible parenting advice, but like this was just me on myself, you know? I would not go places or do things because, and I had a lot of friends that were like this too, because they had to study, right? Oh, so like you miss out on a lot of experiences because you have to study, because you have to keep your 4.0 GPA
for college.
And
your
I
tops.
think but not even like just because of your tops,
right?
Like
just
you
the
could
pressure
have
of like
you could have like whatever in your GPA and you could still keep your tops, but you know, like people would miss out on a lot of life things because they needed to make like this grade on this test to keep X, Y, and Z or whatever. And when you apply for a job, nobody asks you if you got
what you got on that test.
A B, a C, a D, whatever. Did you get a diploma? You know, like, did you get a diploma?
Right.
Did you graduate? Right. I am 31 years old, and if I sent in a resume to somebody right now, ain't nobody asked me what my college GPA was.
Right. Oh no, that's so true. And like I never did that because that one year I did go to LSU, I like literally could have cared less about my grades. Like I was like, I'll never forget this one day. I'm like, well, I got to go to the math lab and take a test, and I just like clicked, and I got a 15, and I was like, a 15.
Okay, folks, don't do that.
No, don't do that. I'm not saying this is good, but I remember being like, a 15. But I was so like, I did not want to be in college. Like I wanted to be doing hair so badly that like I literally did not, I could care less about school. Like my test, studying, like I would try just because I wanted to please my parents, but I was like, this is not for me.
It wasn't for you. Yeah.
This is not for me. So again, if you have like those thoughts of like, it's okay to not like follow the norm and like go to college. Like if you don't want to go to college, it's not for everybody. Yeah. And I like,
but I'm just thinking like, it's not that serious. It is not that serious, and it's okay to change your mind. If your path of what you thought it was is not what it is, it's okay.
That's all right.
You don't. And you know, I actually had this conversation with someone recently about an adult who's like still, but they're still like in their upper 20s, about to turn 30. But you know, I think that this one person like made up their mind of who they were going to be, how they were going to treat this person, what they wanted to do, and what the situation looked like. And even if that's not what they still want to do, I think they've like believed it so far
They're
that
too-
that's
too
who they
far
are,
deep.
that they can't
They
change
can't
their
go
mind
back.
because they're going to like feel or look like an idiot. It's like an ego thing.
We do a lot. Yeah. But sometimes you got to just drop the pride.
And just say,
drop
look,
the
I'm
ego.
so sorry.
I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I would like to admit I made a mistake. I didn't mean any of that shit for the last 5 years. Can we rewind? You know, like it's all right.
It's okay to change your mind.
It's all right. It's all right to own. Like we talked about it on the last episode that we recorded. It's okay to own when you mess up.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be like, hey, I shouldn't have said that. Or to give grace where it's needed and to give mercy where it's needed. Because a lot of times in life, we're just like rolling with the punches. Like we're just trying to like do our best. And sometimes we like do something and you like a day later even can realize that soon, like that wasn't right.
Yeah.
I did that wrong.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done it. Even within owning businesses, like it happens and you're like, you can be prideful and just be like, oh, well, that's the way I did it. Let's move on. Or you can be like, hold on, let's backtrack. Let me fix that. Let's course correct and let's grow from this.
Yeah.
And I think that happens.
And sometimes when you do that, I think you realize, oh shoot, like just in a business sense, like, oh shoot, I actually had 5 other clients that I was dealing with on that same day. And like their problems were a little bit bigger than yours. So I did just push them to the side. And you know, I'm really sorry because your problem was your problem.
And like owning it, that makes you like so respected and like, oh wow, thank you for saying that. All right, let's move on. That's another thing. I opened my business in my 20s.
That's crazy. I did too. Wait, I also did.
So how did that feel? Like
did.
what would you tell someone today who could be in their 20s, like wanting to be an entrepreneur, open their own business?
It's hard work. It's actually way harder than anybody will ever tell you. You will get encouraged and people will be like, good for you. That's awesome. But I really wish that people would have asked me harder questions.
Yeah.
To make sure that I was prepared for it.
Right.
Because now I feel like I'm dealing with the I'm looking higher.
Yeah.
I'm looking higher and I'm wishing I would have done a few things differently from the beginning, which
anything that you could say to the young folk like that you wish you would have done differently? Like, is there,
I think they're really specific to like my
to your
business.
Yeah. I get that. I have the
know?
same, like there's things you look back on and that's like obviously with everything in life, but I wish I would have known how hard it is and how like much in the spotlight you kind of are as like a business owner, especially being young business owner, female business owner. Everyone's always like, which is great, like you said, like cheering you on and like, I'm so proud of you. Oh my gosh, your salon looks so good. And it's like this, like you have to live up to it. But sometimes you're just like, this sucks. Like this is really hard.
Yeah.
And expensive. And everyone thinks you're just rich because you
And you're
own
making
something.
a ton of money. Yeah.
And like if they saw the monthly like expenses, they'd be like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, because I love it. And that's at the end of the day. If you don't love it, I mean like love it, like passionate about it, I would say don't do it straight up.
Yeah.
Like that's my advice. If you don't, and if you're like going to be hard on yourself for not making money for 5 to 10 years or
Don't do it.
don't do it. Like just be like, okay, if you don't love it enough to be okay to not make money doing it, don't do it. That is like so straight and honest. And I wish someone would have like given me that so I could have made that decision like on my own.
But you just had to really learn it for yourself.
I did.
And that's how I feel now looking at it. You know, I'm not far out of my 20s, but it's just I see things in a totally different light and I'm taking things head on in a totally different way than I ever thought I would have to.
Right. Things are more clear.
Yeah.
Like you can see it like you said from the bird's eye view.
I wish I would have like set up like procedures and
systems and yes,
just
me too.
from the beginning.
Yes.
That if I would have ever known if I would get in this bind or if this client would happen or if something happened to me and I needed to pass it off to somebody else. Like I wish that I would have had that set even before I like announced that I was opening a business. I think I was so excited that I was like, I have this idea. I'm very driven. I've got goals. I can do this. I'm going to be really great at it, which
I also think Jesus though put that on you, my heart. Like same thing because he does know we can do it.
Well, and I
if
think
we knew the truth, we wouldn't have done it. And like, no, he wanted us to open it. He wanted us to succeed.
Go in a little blindly.
Go in blind because it's like we had no idea and we're just like, we're going to win.
Well, and I think like in my instance, I'm like, I'm good at design. I'm good at planning. I'm very organized. I can do these events. And that's what I went in wanting to do. You went in like, I'm opening a salon because I love to do hair. I want to do hair. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
But you learn
it's so much more than
you are
I'm barely doing hair
actually not
anymore.
doing the thing that you love to do.
Yeah. And that was like a very recent, like,
You're
hump
paying
I had to get over.
insurance.
Yeah.
You are not paying yourself.
No.
You are paying content creators.
Yes.
You're doing social media. You're scrubbing toilets. You are
It's a lot more.
packing boxes.
Yeah.
You're
It's a lot. It's a lot. But again, it's like I had to kind of just come to a point where, like, for a while I was still doing a lot of hair. And then it was like, okay, you really can't juggle both. And then I started having kids.
Okay, but your life changed.
Yeah, so it was like you got to pick,
in.
like, are you going to just do hair? Then you can't own a salon, or are you going to take a step back and have days that are admin days where you do what you need to be doing? So I like slowly like feathered it down to where I'm never going to not do hair because I love it. But now I do hair like 2 days a week, and the other days are admin days. And like, it was a very hard transition. Like over the last 2 years, like I'm still like, recently I was struggling again with it. Just like, am I good enough? Like, am I enough for this? This is a lot of like work, a lot of pressure. Like, I know a lot of business owners can relate with employees that it's like the pressure of knowing that you're their paycheck and like you are what they provide for their family with. And you, like, they come to you with the problem because you have to be the solver for them because this is their career. Like that, all of that kind of pressure can get really heavy. And sometimes that can be enough to make you want to just quit because you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not made for this.
I'm one person.
Yep. I'm one person. I can't do this. But that is Satan. And he was attacking me very heavily over the last like 2 months, telling me that I was not good enough to own a business and that I shouldn't own a salon and that it wasn't like where I should be because I'm not good at it. You simply are going to fail. Like you are not good at it. All these things. And really I was hearing all of him in my head versus Jesus being like, no, you are. You just need to make some changes.
Yeah.
Like you need to fix a few systems and you need to delegate help where it needs to be. And like things will be amazing. You've made it this far. I didn't bring you this far for you to just quit. And it was just like this big eye-opening moment of like, okay, like I am a business owner. Like I am not just a hairdresser. And
it's okay to change your mind.
It's okay to change your mind. And it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Like when you need it. And it's okay to say no when you can't do something or when that's not the way you want to do it. Like there's so many things with owning it. But like Baby Bailey opening, I was like, I said yes to everything. I wanted everyone happy. I spent like way more money than I ever should have on the salon and on
I agree with that with myself.
Oh, like in the beginning, like it was just like, we're going to do this. And like, there was no budget. There was no like.
That's how I feel. I feel like I didn't like set something in place for me to have a good base. It was like, I want this to look good. This is how I want it to be. This is how I want it to present itself.
Which like is part of why you and me have got the success we're at because people wanted the luxury salon and they wanted your like taste and all these things. So it's like great, but at the same time, like I really dug myself in a deep hole. It comes at an
expense. Yeah.
And like if the girls ask for something, I'm like, yes, because I want them happy and I want everyone just happy.
Well, and then I think you feel like you have to, and this kind of goes, I think, with everything in life, but what we're talking about, like you have to hold yourself to this standard that you already created, right?
There's no backtracking.
Yeah, you can't go lower,
right?
Because
and I've done
made some mistakes.
Yeah.
You have to stay here or you feel like you have to keep climbing.
Yeah.
And sometimes your finances
they're not. And every year is different. Like 1 year I did like this huge Christmas party because I really wanted to like impress my girls and I wanted them to feel so loved. I spent thousands.
I remember.
Thousands of dollars that I did not have to have this party for them, which it was so much fun. It was great. But like then the next year they're like, what are we doing this year? And I was like, what did I do? Like I was trying
you set the standard
to impress them with money I didn't have and like trying to like give them all this because I see other salons doing it and all this stuff. And I'm like, these salons have been in business for 20 plus years. Of course they can do that.
Yeah.
At this point, I was like a 5-year-old little like brand new business spending thousands of dollars on all this stuff.
Well, and too, what you, from being an employee of someone else, what you like, how they've treated you and what they've done for you. And you're like, I want to do that.
Yes.
But same thing.
You have to be smart about it. You can't just go in full force.
You have to grow. You have to grow. Somewhere to grow.
Yeah, you have to grow. And
so it's okay to start small.
It is. It's like, please start small. Like start small, be smart, get the financial help that you need.
Well, I think, okay, I'm going
to
talking about this. I also can really translate this and relate it to like my real life recently. The Labor Day weekend, I was supposed to go out of town, and it was, I wound up not going out of town, and it was my first weekend home in
years.
I think, no, I literally think,
Like-
I think 3 months since the beginning of May.
What's that SpongeBob thing we always say?
5 years later.
5 years later.
Yeah,
Kristen
literally.
was finally home.
It was like 3 months later, and it was the first full weekend I had been home. I hadn't slept in my bed for over 4 or 5 nights in 3 months. Okay. So we made this decision to stay home, and thank goodness I did, because I did not feel good at all. But the whole time I was home, I had people being like, why aren't you in Vegas for the LSU game? Why didn't you go do this? I thought you were supposed to go to Oxford. I thought you were supposed I thought you weren't, you want to go to dinner tonight instead? Like all these things.
Yeah.
And I got really anxious being still.
Yeah.
And I was watching the LSU game with some of my friends. I was at a family friend's house, and I looked at my friend Olivia, and I said, I have so much anxiety inside of me right now. You probably can't tell because I'm sitting
here.
still. But I have so much anxiety right now that I am not somewhere doing something like
Big.
Like
just
yes,
sitting here.
I'm
happy to be here with you.
I'm happy to be here with my friends,
But
with
you're
my
used
family.
to the big lavish trip.
Yeah,
and
like, and not being
the game
home.
I'm going. And
and I think this is the same thing. Like I set that for myself.
so high.
And because I wasn't there,
Yeah.
I had so much.
You're like, this is wrong.
Yes, I felt
Yeah,
so
that's literally
wrong
how I
doing
felt
it.
the following year for the Christmas party. I was like, we're going to dinner. Like I can't afford.
Yeah.
Like I just
And-
can't. Like
and the truth is,
you want to, but like sometimes you just can't.
Well, and that's what it was so hard for me. And I'm like, I am okay. I am happy. I made the choice. I am happy to be home.
Right.
I
You
am
could have
happy to be
been.
still. I'm tired.
Yeah, you needed to be home.
I need a reset.
yeah.
But having that, I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
And it's
weird.
And it's because I just wasn't
You
right.
weren't on the pedestal you thought you should be. And that's like
Right.
how I like, especially
Which
owning
is
a business.
so weird.
It gets very, when I opened my business, I will say like, it was like very rare that like a young girl opened a salon.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, what? You're what?
You're doing what?
And now like businesses and young girls are popping up everywhere. And I think it's incredible. Like
Yeah.
the confidence is different. The talent is different. It's just, they have the suites now. They didn't have that when I first, so like things are just,
There's more opportunity.
Yes. So, but now I'm noticing like there's so many more like salons and so many more like competitors, if you will, around you. And so it starts to feel like, what are they doing? Do I need to be doing that? And like when I first opened, I was kind of just like,
Well,
I'm the new girl here.
Well, it turns into like a comparison.
Yeah, it's comparison is the
And that's why I think I felt
Yep.
so anxious, because I was like,
and we start doing things because someone else is, or because we need to live up to something else, not for us.
or because somebody else thinks you should be doing
Yes.
something. And I think that's where I had like 5 or 6 people be like, I thought you would be in Vegas. Like, why don't you just go get on a plane? And I'm like, are you paying for it?
Right.
You know, like at the expense of what hangover?
Yeah.
Because I can't do that right now. I'm not in the
doing
mood.
that. I'm not. I'm tired.
I'm not
tired.
there.
Okay, so if you are opening a business in your 20s, I would recommend just like get the systems in place, get the financial advisor, get the business coach if you need.
But don't worry about everybody's opinion
and
of what you think it should look
stay in
like,
your own lane.
because you should do it for yourself.
Stay in your own lane. I heard one time someone said, people copy you because
It's a form of flattery.
No.
Oh, why? Sorry.
Well, I've heard that one all the time, and I've always been like, I don't like that. But it said, people copy you because you make it look easy. And I was like, oh. Like, people think, oh, she made it look so easy and flawless, and like, look at her success, and like, now I'm going to try it too. And like, sometimes, we make things like it might look so easy, but it looks like, oh my gosh, you're on top of the world. How are you doing all this? Like, you make it look so easy. And I think that's part of what I was saying earlier. Like, people cheer us on, which is great, but you feel like you have to like live to that standard of like, yep, I'm successful. Yep, we're doing great. And like, meanwhile, like, it's like, it may have been a slow month that I literally didn't pay myself. And I'm like, everything's awesome.
Yeah.
But really, I'm like, golly, like sometimes I do the math and I'm like, man, I really could be better off if I just like did hair every day.
Well,
Some months are different, but It's just if you don't love it, if you're not like passionate about owning the business and running the business, like don't do it.
And what you're doing.
And just be realistic about your, like you said, like your systems and just having everything in place to make it as clean as a journey as it can be.
Yeah, for sure.
Whew, we talked about a lot of things, huh?
We did. 20s are a big
I know.
A big thing.
I didn't even get into like getting engaged in the 20s.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's not much to say about it, but I will say I was like really young. And if you heard the relationship episode, you know, like I say, me and Aaron could have grown together or grown apart. Like we were young kids.
Mm-hmm.
So choose wisely if you're still,
if you're in your 20s
if
and
you're in your
choosing.
20s and you're dating and you're getting engaged, just, really choose wisely and just really like pay attention to,
but
like
I really
she said,
think
character, people's character.
Yeah, and who they are.
Don't just settle.
Right.
Because you've been together for a long time or your mom likes them or whatever.
Yeah.
Really,
it's
like,
your life.
Listen to your heart. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your heart.
Well, and I think at the end of all of this, it really goes back to what your first thing was.
Yeah.
And that was keeping God at the forefront and having that faith and that relationship and not just going to church because your friends are going to church. And
like pouring into your faith and your relationship with
and
God.
listening
to Him. His plan is greater than yours, especially your 20-year-old plan.
Right.
Because at 20, we don't really know.
We think we know it all.
We know. And I promise you, if you're 20 and you're listening, you're like, they don't know, but I know. You probably are thinking that. Because at 20, I would die on the hill that I knew what was happening in my life.
Right.
And
where you were going.
Sure is different.
Yeah.
I mean, I also thought I had to complete 4 years of college before I went to beauty school. So I would have not even like started my career.
Yeah.
Like everything played out differently than I thought. So
sometimes we get those curveballs.
But
you have to have that
foundation.
Yes, thank you. I'm like, what is this platter, this table, this foundation? You have to have that foundation in order to, again, make any other decision or are wanting that decision to line up the right way.
Right.
Even if it's wrong, even when you do get those curveballs, if you don't have that foundation in your faith,
it's right.
Nothing is going to fall.
Nothing good can come.
No.
Like truly. Like, I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
Nothing good can come.
So
number
really
one, keep that relationship with Jesus strong.
Yeah.
Our sweet little 20-year-olds.
Have that foundation.
Keep that foundation, build it, and just keep building on it. Give yourself grace. It's okay to say no. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to dump your boyfriend. It's okay
to dump your friends.
It's okay to dump your friends.
It's okay for your friends to dump you.
Yeah. It's all going to be okay. Trust me. It all works out.
It's
God
not
puts people in and removes them from your life for a reason.
Because it's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
So
that's it.
that's
right
it.
there.